A little harder for me to make videos these days, but I still like to do it when I have the chance. But obviously the Great Replacement theory is huge in the news. I gotta make sure I emphasize that I'm against it so YouTube doesn't strike this stupidly. But I don't know. I've thought about it. People are talking about it. I just think it's a stupid fucking idea. The Great Replacement theory. I've talked about it a good amount in exchanges and such like that. It's just a really extreme form of paranoia. You know, our leaders in this country made it multiracial through citizenship back in the 1860s or something like this. So as far as being some grand conspiracy, well, it's a pretty weak case for that. It happened progressively over 150 years. It's still ongoing. Most of it was done by white Christians, of course. Others were involved in advocating and such. It's just toxic in my mind because if we're looking at this concept of, quote, replacement, this has happened in several instances throughout the history of the country. Like, well, I guess the Native Americans, right? But that was a different case because they were dispossessed. I mean, they didn't sign up for that. But the Pilgrims were the first ones here, or among the first ones here. And then others of a different religion, different genetic stock came after them. So would we call that replacement? I mean, if you're going to use the same definition, that would be replacement too, because their genetics and religion was superseded. But this was America by design from the very beginning through different waves of immigration, which were welcomed or sometimes not welcomed, but welcomed by a certain segment of the population, a certain percentage of the population. And just these people kind of don't understand. It's not about the hardcore Great Replacement advocates. It's not about like religious or culturally displacement mostly. It's genetic displacement in their minds. So like Mexicans, Jews in their mind, Asians, like everybody's a threat to the genetic displacement and dispossession in their minds. Like, this has been going on throughout American history. Now, in their minds, what matters is white displacement. So, okay, they don't care that the Germans and the Irish displaced the WASPs because in their minds, they're white. But the point is, it's arbitrary. So, like, when the Pilgrims were displaced by other white people, oh, that doesn't count as displacement because they're white, they're European. And the Germans and the WASPs and the Greeks and the Italians who weren't white at the time, but I guess retroactively they're white. But now that there's more Asians and Hispanics who are mostly white, I believe this constitutes replacement because they're bad genes, they're not white genes. It's stupid and toxic for a number of reasons because, first off, white people aren't being replaced. Other people are moving into the country. I think what they really mean when they say replaced is we're losing our white genetic purity by mixing with other people. That's really what they're mad about. They have this idea of white purity. They want to maintain it. And I lived in a 95% white town. The other 5% was like mostly model minorities. And you get accustomed to that type of society. So I can relate a little bit. No matter what kind of person you are, you get accustomed to it. And then it's like you go somewhere else where it's not white and you feel a little bit out of your element, like you're entitled to it. And This is understandable, although I don't think it's desirable. And I think it's weakness in a way, right? Like, it's a form of fragility where you only feel normal and accustomed to being around people that look like you, etc., etc. You know what I mean? And when I moved around the country and lived in all different types of communities, I feel like it makes you a more well-rounded person. Like, you're not caring about race, etc., what color people are, as much. I mean, it always matters to some degree. Like, it doesn't totally get eliminated, for sure. But this is the fear that's being instilled by this idea. Like, black people are a threat. Asian people are a threat. Indians are a threat. They're gonna open up the Quickie Mart. It's gonna put the white guy out of business. But people have this idea of the United States and the founding of the country, this pure white country, even though it wasn't pure white. We had the slave population, but whatever. As far as citizenship goes, it was pure white. And it was 100% white. And now it's 60% white. So, like, white Americans have lost 40% of what they had. It's total bullshit, though, because the population was 2.5 million. And the population now is, like, above 330 million. So, what is that? I can't do the math in my head, but that's 100 to 150 times the population. Wait, let me think. 2 million. Yeah. It's 100 to 150 times as big the population. The land area wise, it's much more massive. I don't know how many, but you're talking about the 13 colonies versus the rest of the country. It's got to be like at least 10 times as big land area wise. Technologically, a completely different fucking society. So it's not even the same land. It's not the same people. It's a totally different fucking entity. Even the Constitution is much different, although we retain its core. So this idea of like a pure white society that existed that now is being tainted by people that are non-white, it's not a reflection of reality. So would you rather be 60% of a much more powerful, better nation, or 100% of an agrarian society with like horse-drawn carriages in this? I guess they would say they want to be 100% of what the United States is now, but that's not really an option, short of some massive conflict or reorganizing of society that would most undoubtedly result in a disaster. But the idea is just stupid. It's toxic. We got these young people that are damaged for sure. I don't think this guy, the Buffalo guy, would have, had some bright future ahead of him. He was obviously very troubled. He could have latched on to some other idea, like incel-dumb, and lashed out. But I don't think the incel-dumb stuff is inflammatory as this white replacement stuff. So there's a reason why he latched onto that and lashed out. But we're losing our young people. We're to this bullshit. We're potentially losing our country if it goes the wrong way. But that's what the people that advocate for this theory want. The only thing that matters is white genetic purity, and it's worth sacrificing everything for. It's worth killing. It's worth anything. But that's not America as it exists now. It's not a white, pure ethno-state. So, like, if whiteness is what they really care about, why don't they try to establish some type of society peacefully and just be around pure white? I don't recommend that, but I'm also not in favor of, I don't advocate for Scientology or Mormonism or a bunch of other movements, people have the right to do it. Like, that's what's great about this country. You can have unpopular ideas, and as long as you follow the law and you're not totally antisocial about it, you could do that. So you can establish some type of a commune in the United States, but they don't do this by and large. They want to, because they're toxic people that want to throw a wrench in what other people are doing. And the vast majority of people don't have a problem with other races and other colors. They just want to posture that they're the ultimate victim and they're justified in lashing out this way, or other less toxic but still toxic ways. It's just ultimately really stupid and toxic. Bound to fail. At least it better be bound to fail, otherwise the country's fucked. And I tried to make this point in my debate, which didn't really register with the audience. But I use the Zionists as an example. Like, they didn't demonize white people in the quest for their state, despite being on the receiving end of shitty treatment in a lot of fucking countries. They didn't lash out and say, we fucking hate white people, like, we're gonna take the fight to whitey, because they ultimately, that wouldn't have been a successful movement. It would have generated more resistance than support, obviously. Like, they wooed leaders, blah blah blah, and like, I'm not even supporting this idea. I think it's stupid. But if people want to do it, why can't they do it in a way that's not fucking toxic to themselves or others? You want to establish some, quote, white, pure ethno-state, however the fuck you define that, go find a dictator who would welcome you. Like, I don't know, the leader of Belarus. And you could say, oh, I don't like Belarus, it sucks. Well, if white genetic purity is what matters, then you'll fucking do that. It doesn't matter if you speak the same language, it doesn't matter if it sucks. If ultimately white genetic purity is the end all be all, then put your money where your mouth is and go do that. Like, you don't care about America, you don't care about anything but that, then go do that. It doesn't have to be, it could be like a independent country movement, or it could just be like a fucking settlement in the United States, like Orania in South Africa. No other people would want to fucking live there that don't agree with his ideology. So go fucking do it and stop being toxic. That's what I would say. What other insights do I have on this? Besides it being fucking stupid and toxic. I don't know. Nothing's hitting me right now. So, but I think the best way to, these people are so resistant to intervention, but I think the best way are like people that are into the JQ. Like, somebody needs to reach them and connect with them. If you vilify them and try to attack them, I think it just reinforces their beliefs and makes them more resolute. So, yeah, we should speak out against it and display how toxic it is, but that's not going to prevent a small number of hardcore people from adopting it. So I think reaching out to those people in a non-hostile way, just like with the JQ, is the best approach. Yeah, I don't know. That's all I got to say about it right now. Everyone have a good day.